If you wake up with stiff popping knees, aching hips, or fingers that just don't want to bend, and you tell yourself, well, I guess I'm just getting older, you might be falling for one of the most dangerous myths in modern aging. Millions of people swallow glucosamine pills and turmeric capsules every single morning, hoping to lubricate their joints, only to actively destroy their cartilage at dinner. You might think that beautifully grilled chicken breast or perfectly roasted vegetable medley is the healthiest choice you could make for your body. But if your joints ache, the exact way you cooked that meal could be accelerating your aging. Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah. I'm a clinical nutrition specialist, and in my practice, I focus on how the food you eat directly dictates how your body ages, moves, and heals. Today, I am going to show you the hidden dietary mistake that is quietly deteriorating your cartilage at the cellular level. We are going to look at the exact biological mechanism behind why your joints feel so stiff, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you will understand that it isn't just inevitable wear and tear. You are going to walk away with a practical, accessible blueprint for anti-inflammatory eating that shifts the power back into your hands, helping you protect your mobility for the long term. Now, you might be wondering, if food preparation is so critical to joint health, why hasn't my doctor mentioned it? The truth is, in a standard 15-minute checkup, there simply isn't time. Your doctor is focused on managing severe pain, checking your x-rays for bone-on-bone friction, or adjusting your prescriptions to keep you comfortable. We rarely get to sit down and ask, how exactly are you browning your meats? Or, what's in the marinade you use every Tuesday? The medical system is incredibly good at treating acute damage, but it often leaves you completely in the dark when it comes to the daily, cellular maintenance of your structural health. But before we dive into the exact cooking mistake you need to stop making, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below, do you usually grill, roast, fry, or boil your meats for dinner? There is no wrong answer, just let me know where you are starting from right now. Let me tell you about a patient of mine. Let's call her Denise. Denise is a 54-year-old retired teacher from Mesa, Arizona. When she first came to my clinic, she was incredibly frustrated and quietly terrified about her future. Denise considered herself a very proactive, healthy person. She walked 2 miles every morning, stayed away from fast food, and made a point to eat a lot of lean protein. But over the past year, she started noticing this intense, unexplained stiffness in her right knee and a persistent ache in her hands. Every time she stood up from her favorite reading chair, her knee would loudly pop and throb. In the mornings, it took her a solid 20 minutes of hobbling around the kitchen before her joints felt warm enough to walk normally. Denise did what most of us do. She assumed it was just mileage. She thought, I was on my feet for 30 years in a classroom, my joints are just wearing out. She bought an expensive joint supplement, started taking extra-strength ibuprofen on her bad days, and tried to just push through the discomfort. She was terrified that eventually she'd have to give up her morning walks, which were her favorite part of the day. But when she told me about her daily routine, a massive red flag went up. Denise loved to grill. Living in Arizona, she used her patio grill almost 4 nights a week. She loved the char on her chicken. She loved getting a crispy crust on her fish. And she basted everything in a healthy, sugar-free barbecue sauce that was actually loaded with hidden artificial additives and refined oils. She thought she was doing everything right. Denise didn't realize it, but she wasn't just dealing with mechanical wear and tear. She was suffering from chemical stiffening. You see, cartilage is supposed to be smooth, slippery, and flexible, like a dense, damp sponge. It's primarily made up of collagen and water, and it acts as the vital shock absorber between your bones. But when cartilage begins to break down, it doesn't just chip away like old concrete. It fundamentally changes texture. It dries out, it becomes brittle, rough, and highly inflamed. Most people assume this breakdown happens solely because we use our joints over the decades. But in reality, one of the primary drivers of this structural damage comes directly from your bloodstream, and it is actively fueled by the exact chemical reactions happening in your frying pan and on your grill. The foods we eat, especially when cooked at very high dry temperatures, can create microscopic compounds that travel through the blood, enter the joint space, and literally glue your flexible collagen fibers together. Imagine taking a soft, flexible rubber hose and injecting it with a sticky resin that hardens over time. Suddenly, every time you try to bend that hose, it cracks, tears, and sustains damage. That is exactly what is happening inside your knees, your hips, and your hands. This process is completely invisible to the naked eye, but you feel the direct consequences of it every single morning when you try to get out of bed. And the craziest part? It is entirely driven by a biological mechanism that is largely under your control. It all comes down to a specific interaction between proteins, fats, and high heat that most people are triggering in their kitchens every single night without realizing it. In the next few minutes, I am going to explain exactly what these compounds are, how they are quietly destroying your collagen, and how a few simple shifts in your daily routine can stop this inflammatory cascade in its tracks. To understand exactly how your dinner is affecting your knees, we need to talk about a scientific process called glycation and the compounds it leaves behind, known as Advanced Glycation End-products. In the medical community, we refer to them simply by their fitting acronym, AGEs, because that is exactly what they do. They age your tissues prematurely. AGEs are harmful compounds that are formed when protein or fat combines with sugar. This can happen internally in your bloodstream, but it also happens externally in the food you eat, specifically when that food is exposed to high, dry heat. Think about what happens when you put a piece of meat on a hot grill or roast potatoes in the oven until they get that crispy brown edge. That browning process, what chefs call the Maillard reaction, creates massive amounts of dietary AGEs. When you consume these highly browned, charred, or fried foods, your body absorbs a significant portion of those AGEs into your bloodstream. And here is the crucial part that most people never realize. These compounds have an absolute affinity for collagen. Cartilage, the cushion in your joints, is largely made of collagen. When AGEs reach your joints, they act like biological superglue. They latch onto the flexible collagen fibers and cause them to cross-link, binding them tightly together. What was once a supple, shock-absorbing sponge becomes stiff, brittle, and highly prone to tearing. This brings us to the first massive trap I see my patients fall into: the healthy grilled meat trap. For decades, we have been told that to stay healthy and manage our weight, we should avoid deep-fried foods and choose grilled or baked chicken, fish, and lean meats. And while skipping the deep fryer is good advice, moving to the grill or the high-heat roasting pan is a disaster for your joints. High, dry heat cooking methods, grilling, broiling, roasting, and pan frying, generate up to 100 times more AGEs than moist heat cooking methods. If you are eating grilled chicken breast every night, thinking you are doing your body a favor, you are actually delivering a daily concentrated dose of joint-stiffening compounds right to your cartilage. But the cooking method is only half of the equation. The second major culprit actively destroying your joint flexibility is hidden sugar, specifically hidden fructose. We all know sugar isn't great for our waistlines, but its impact on your structural framework is far more aggressive than most people realize. When you consume sugar, it actively fuels the creation of even more AGEs inside your body. Furthermore, sugar increases inflammation and blood sugar spikes. When your blood sugar spikes, it creates a highly reactive environment in your bloodstream. If you are basting your high-heat cooked meats in barbecue sauce, teriyaki glaze, or even a sugar-free marinade that substitutes real sugar with high fructose corn syrup or artificial chemical sweeteners, you are creating a perfect storm for joint deterioration. The sugar acts as an accelerant, making those collagen crosslinks form faster and harder. I want to tell you about another patient of mine, a gentleman I'll call Arthur. Arthur is a 68-year-old widower from Dayton, Ohio. Arthur was an avid golfer, but he came to me because his hands had become so agonizingly stiff that he could barely grip his clubs anymore. He was convinced his golfing days were over. Arthur proudly told me about his strict, heart-healthy diet. Since his wife passed, he had simplified his meals. Almost every single night, he ate a chicken breast cooked on his indoor electric grill, brushed with a store-bought, low-calorie honey mustard glaze, alongside a side of roasted vegetables. He was eating massive amounts of AGEs every single day. The dry heat of his indoor grill combined with the sweet glaze was practically manufacturing joint stiffness. When I explained this to Arthur, he was stunned. He felt betrayed by the healthy labels on his food. We didn't put Arthur on a restrictive, miserable diet. We simply changed the physical way his food was prepared, which I will show you how to do in just a moment. But before we get to the solution, we have to address the third critical factor in this joint preservation puzzle: your dietary fat imbalance. To keep cartilage healthy, your body needs to be able to flush out metabolic waste and repair microscopic daily damage. But cartilage has notoriously poor blood circulation. It relies heavily on the health of the surrounding tissues and the synovial fluid to get its nutrients. If your body is in a state of systemic, low-grade inflammation, that repair process shuts down. And the primary driver of this background inflammation is the cooking oil sitting in your pantry right now. Most people cook with highly refined seed oils, like corn, soybean, sunflower, or vegetable oil. These oils are exceptionally high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, in large amounts, are highly inflammatory. To combat this, you must shift the balance toward omega-3s. Omega-3 fats help reduce inflammation. Crucially for your joints, omega-3 also supports blood flow, ensuring that the limited circulation your joints do have is operating at maximum efficiency to clear out damaged cells. If you want to protect your joints, you need to actively consume these healing fats. Here are best omega-3 foods. 1. Salmon. 2. Sardines. 3. Chia seeds. 4. Flax seeds. 5. Walnuts. Adding these into your routine while pulling back on the high heat, refined oil cooking is like applying internal lubrication to your stiffest joints. So how do you take this information and actually use it to communicate with your healthcare team? The next time you sit down in that exam room and your doctor tells you that your knee pain is just wear and tear from getting older, I want you to advocate for yourself. Ask your doctor this exact question. Could my systemic inflammation markers, like CRP or a high-sensitivity C-reactive protein test, be contributing to my joint stiffness? And can we test them? Getting a baseline of your actual systemic inflammation gives you and your doctor a real, measurable number to work with, rather than just guessing based on your age. It proves that you are looking at your body as a whole, interconnected system. Now, understanding the damage is the first step, but stopping it is the goal. You do not have to give up eating delicious food, and you do not have to accept morning stiffness as a permanent part of your life. Let's look at the exact step-by-step Joint Rescue Dietary Protocol I use with my patients to transition away from cartilage-destroying meals and rebuild flexible, resilient joints. The Joint Rescue Dietary Protocol is built on 3 simple, everyday pillars. You do not need to buy expensive, exotic superfoods, and you certainly don't need to starve yourself. You just need to change the environment in your kitchen. Pillar number 1 is the temperature shift. I want you to look at how often you are using dry, high-heat cooking methods. If you are grilling, frying, or roasting your meats at high temperatures 4 or 5 nights a week, we need to cut that in half immediately. Instead, I want you to embrace moist heat cooking. This is the secret weapon against age formation. When you cook with moisture, like braising, steaming, poaching, stewing, or using a slow cooker, you significantly lower the cooking temperature, and the water naturally prevents the sugars and proteins from binding together into those joint-stiffening compounds. Think about swapping a charred, grilled chicken breast for tender, slow-cooked pulled chicken. Instead of pan-frying your fish until it has a hard crust, try baking it inside a parchment paper pouch with a little lemon and herbs. You are eating the exact same protein, but you are absorbing a fraction of the cartilage-destroying agents. Pillar number 2 is the marinade makeover. You have to go into your refrigerator and pantry today and look at the labels on your favorite sauces, dressings, and marinades. Do not trust the front of the bottle. Turn it around. If the ingredient list contains high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, agave, or artificial sweeteners, it is actively fueling your joint inflammation. Remember, sugar acts as the glue that cross-links your collagen. Instead, make a simple, joint-saving marinade using a high-quality extra virgin olive oil, apple cider vinegar or citrus juice, and fresh herbs like rosemary and oregano, which are packed with natural antioxidants that actually help protect your tissues. Pillar number 3 is the inflammatory oil swap. We need to get the cheap, highly refined seed oils out of your daily routine. If you are cooking with standard vegetable oil, corn oil, or soybean oil, you are flooding your system with omega-6 fatty acids that keep your body in a state of high alert and chronic inflammation. Switch your primary cooking and dressing oil to extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. And remember, you must proactively bring in those healing fats. Try to incorporate a serving of wild-caught salmon, a handful of walnuts, or a spoonful of chia seeds into your meals a few times a week. Let me tell you what happened to Denise, our retired teacher from Arizona. When she understood that her beloved patio grill and sugar-free barbecue sauce were actively stiffening her knees, she was ready to make a change. She didn't stop eating chicken or fish. She simply packed away the grill for the season and bought a beautiful slow cooker. She started making rich, moist chicken stews. She swapped her highly processed marinade for olive oil, lemon, and garlic. She added a small piece of baked salmon to her routine twice a week. At her 6-week follow-up, the shift in her demeanor was incredible. She wasn't holding back tears of frustration anymore. She told me that her morning stiffness, which used to take 20 painful minutes to shake off, was now down to about 5 minutes. The loud popping in her right knee when she stood up from her chair was drastically reduced. Most importantly, she had completely reclaimed her morning walks without needing to swallow a handful of ibuprofen first. Her joints didn't magically become 20 years old again. She still had some mild wear and tear. But by removing the daily chemical assault of ages and hidden sugars, her body was finally able to calm down, lubricate the joints properly, and repair the daily microscopic damage. My goal here is never to take away the foods you love. It is to help you understand your body so you can make informed, proactive choices. Choices that give you back your freedom, your mobility, and your life. You do not have to just accept that aging means endless pain and stiffness. You have incredible power over your structural health, and it starts with your very next meal. Now I want to hear from you. It helps me know what is actually working for you at home, and it helps build a community of people taking their health back. Comment starting today if you are going to swap out the grill or the frying pan for a slow cooker or a steamer this week. Comment asking my doctor if you are going to request that CRP inflammation test at your next medical visit. And comment sending this if you know a friend, a spouse, or a family member who is struggling with joint pain and desperately needs to hear this information. If this video opened your eyes to how your daily habits impact your joints, please hit the share button and send it to someone you care about. Save this video to your health playlist so you can reference the protocol later, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss our weekly deep dives into preserving your health and longevity. I'm Dr. Sarah. Stay proactive, take care of your body, and I will see you in the next video.